we want to talk about what's happening globally because the U.S. is not seen as a leader in climate change, believe it or not. The Kyoto Protocol remains signed but not ratified by the U.S., and other regulations to create a sustainable environment haven't been enacted, as they have in some other countries. So joining us now to talk more about that is Rachel Kyte with the World Bank. You are Vice President of Sustainable Development. Thank you for being with us this morning. First, let's talk about what the Kyoto Protocol is for those that are watching and maybe don't know.
So the Kyoto Protocol was part of the agreement under the United Nations Framework for Climate Change. And it's a binding commitment to reduce polluting carbon emissions by most of the industrialized world. Not every country signed it, for example, the United States. And it also doesn't cover some of the rapidly growing developing countries like China and India.
So why didn't some people sign this?
A feeling that, well, there wasn't a political consensus in some of those countries, a feeling that the emissions were now coming from many parts in the world, not just from the developed world. And this has been something that's been negotiated at length for more than 20 years. But now what we're seeing is that the impacts of climate change are here and now and affecting everybody. And so the spur to action is happening outside of the convention, not just in the convention negotiations.
So let's talk about the sustainable development. What do you hope to hear the president say about that?
I think what we're looking for and what we expect to see is a sense of the urgency of climate change. It is now happening in our lifetime. This is not something that will happen at the end of the century. We can already project that the impacts will be felt now and over the next 20 years. And so it becomes a matter of material concern to the United States to protect itself from the impacts of climate change, but as a major emitter that it needs to curb those emissions, not only for its own survival, but for the impact that it's going to have on the poor around the world. So we expect to see those two things.
So what can we do? What can our viewers do that are watching this to help?
Well, the way that we are, our own footprint, so everything from where our energy sources is coming from, the energy efficiency of our housing, the vehicles that we drive, the public transport that we take, but also the way in which we put pressure on our elected officials at the local level and at the national level, that really this is something that we need to act on now because it is our children and our children's children who are going to suffer. If we have the kind of extreme weather events that we're starting to see with the regularity that we see, with the intensity that we see, this is going to cost the nation hundreds of millions of dollars, and we need to prevent this.
And how is the U.S. going to become a leader in this?
I think the U.S. can do a lot to lead. The world still looks to the U.S. for its convening power and its authority. It is a major industrial force. It's also the home of major innovations throughout its history. And so the innovations in the green economy, how we can employ people and live on a less carbon-intensive world, I think the world sees a lot of opportunity for the U.S. to lead both at the industry level, but also at the political level.
Rachel Kyte, thank you so much.